am Jen Johnson. I am the Research Director here at the Becker County Museum, and today I'm going to talk to you about the first historian of Becker County, Mrs. John K. West, also known as Jessie Campbell West. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually read to you a little bit about her from the Becker County Pioneer History book, which she actually had a lot to do with, but the author is Elvin Wilcox. Mrs. Jessie C. West was born on the 9th day of January 1849 near Pittsfield, Massachusetts. She came to Detroit with her husband John K. West in October 1881 and spent the remainder of her days in that village. Mrs. West was a woman of refinement of mind and heart, possessing considerable willpower in facing and overcoming obstacles and difficulties. She loved her home and all about her. When she came to Detroit, there was much mission work to be done, and she at once entered into it with heart and soul. During her first year in Detroit, she helped to organize 7 Sunday schools, and one became a flourishing church. She was in full sympathy with the work of the Salvation Army and a frequent contributor of funds for their support. With the help of Mrs. J.H. Sutherland, she was the organizer and the historian of the Pioneer Settlers Union of Becker County, and during her last years was the life and soul of that organization. She had long been engaged in collecting and arranging material for a history of Becker County, and it is doubtful if such a history would have been published for years to come had it not been for the zeal and energy of Mrs. West in giving it a beginning. Mrs. West died on the 25th day of January, 1903. So the book that we are talking about, that Elvin wrote, the little biography in this book about Jessie, is actually the Pioneer History of Becker County, Minnesota. And if you look into the preface of the book and the title page, Elvin Wilcox actually gives a lot of credit to Jessie West in the collecting of information she did for Becker County. And as you heard in the biography, and he says it in the preface of the book, he honestly believes that such a book probably would not have existed for years to come if it wasn't for all her work in collecting the articles and talking to the pioneers and getting their written histories. When she died in 1903, and the book was published in 1907, so she never got to see the finished project. But when she died, everything was handed to Elvin Wilcox, and he says in the preface that he had all the letters and all the newspaper clippings and all the information that she wanted to go into this book. So he actually took that information, he finished the work because there were still several pioneers that they hadn't gotten to yet, and he actually organized the book. But if you go through the book, and it is available at our gift shop, you can actually see the work she did because he put her name as Mrs. West, whether if she wrote the information or she collected it or whatever. And I will show you a picture. We have a couple at the Becker County Museum of Mrs. Jessie West. And so this is the first historian of Becker County right here. And I actually just read an article that the Detroit Lakes newspapers did probably a few years ago, and they actually called her and her husband, and I can grab his picture, John K. West, the first power couple of Detroit. And that is 100% true. I honestly believe they were the first power couple. They did so much for the tourism of the area. John K. West had a lot to do with steamboats and helped building up the tourism. And of course, Jessie West recorded the information in the history. And another thing that we have here at the Becker County Museum is we have a room of scrapbooks. Well, 4 of these scrapbooks, and I have 2 here, but 4 of them were actually from Mrs. West. Now, there were 2 Mrs. West, because when Jessie West passed away in 1903, John West married another woman, Ida, and she actually continued the work of the scrapbooks. So if we open this up, you can just see it's not in chronological order. That's one of the first things I noticed with the scrapbooks is it's more of, it starts like the first one starts about schools. So it goes more by topics than anything else. So you'll see information that you know Jessie did because it's in the late 1800s. If we flip the page here, these are all from the late 1800s to the early 1900s. Here we have like a 95, so that would be 1895. And over on this side, we actually have 1905. So with Jessie West, she passed away in 1903, so it's pretty obvious that she did not clip the newspaper articles from 1905. So I always thought it was really neat that after John K. West remarried, that his second wife continued on with her tradition. And we have this finished product that we can actually show you if you come to the museum. While our scrapbooks and some of our newspapers, as you can see, are kind of in our archival rooms and not in public display upstairs, you are able to request them and see them, and we will have staff bring them up to you. So, and this is still on the public schools, because you can see the notes of the public schools, which would have been, I believe, 1913. And then it has an article about the high school. And the scrapbooks are one of the ways in which we go back and kind of research what's going on. Of course, they do take time because some of them aren't very organized. They're just kind of put together. This one is a little organized, which is nice. We can go by the topic. Some of them are more chronological, and one of the reasons I wanted to kind of bring this up is because starting this year, the museum is taking part in collecting histories from all 40 townships of Becker County. And we're starting kind of where Wilcox left off, which the book was published in 1907. So we have over a century of information to find in about 2.5 years. So if you're interested in kind of writing up a history or coming to see us and talking about your family or your business, your resort, whatever kind of history you have of Becker County, I would love to sit down and talk to you. You can send it in. You can, if you have pictures. One of the projects we are working on for the 150th anniversary of Becker County in 2021 is we are retyping this book, the Pioneer book. And we want to add, we're not changing any of the words because this is a Becker County classic. We do not want to change the words, but we would like to add some pictures. So if you have the book or you're interested in the book and you find out that your family is in the book and you have pictures of those pioneers and you're willing to submit them for the kind of republishing of the book, we would love for that too. We would love for that. If you have any information for us and you want to come see me or talk to me, the Becker County Museum is open Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 4. I am pretty much here all day long. You can call us and set up a time or just stop in. You can also email me. It's Jen, Jenn, at beckercountyhistory.org. And just if you have any questions, I will happily answer them, or you can just send me your information. Thank you.